It's been 50 years since a new delta emerged at the mouth of the Wax Lake outlet. This area of the Atchafalaya River Basin is one of the only spots on Louisiana's coast where land is being built instead of lost. The Wax Lake Delta grows about 1 square mile per year on a coast desperate to maintain or build new wetlands. This is critical wildlife habitat and essential storm protection for communities. The reason for this exciting growth? Sediment and freshwater from the Atchafalaya River flows into the region thanks to a channel that reconnects the river to these wetlands. The channel was not originally built for land building. It was built to lower water levels around Morgan City. Here in South Louisiana, sediment plus freshwater equals new land.
We're here today in the Wax Lake Delta. The Wax Lake outlet was dredged in 1941 to lower water levels at Morgan City. But something really remarkable happened. In 1973, land began emerging from open water and has continued to emerge, building out the Wax Lake Delta. So here we have a core from the delta here, and we can see the high organic matter of the vegetation that surrounds us. But then as we go back in time, we can see the fine silt material that actually came from through the Wax Lake outlet through the Atchafalaya River down into this area. So the Atchafalaya Basin's one of the only places in Louisiana we're actually seeing land building, and that's because we have a river connected to a shallow open water area.
Across the rest of the coast, the state loses about a football field's worth of land every 100 minutes. Much of this land loss is due to the state's many deltas being cut off from the sediment-laden Mississippi River by levees. The interruption of the river's natural processes over the last century has resulted in the loss of nearly 2,000 square miles of land, roughly the size of the state of Delaware. But that's not the story here in the Wax Lake Delta. New swaths of land appeared, pushing out into the Gulf after a major river flood in 1973 carried a high volume of freshwater and sediment down the Wax Lake outlet. This diverted some of the flow from the Atchafalaya River right through its basin. This new land pushing out into the Gulf has continued over the years, despite experiencing challenges affecting many areas of Louisiana's coast, including subsidence, sea level rise, hurricanes, and more. Today, the Wax Lake Delta is teeming with diverse wildlife, the picture of a living, thriving delta. Not only does the Wax Lake Delta build land along a coastline that desperately needs it, but it also acts as a living laboratory for scientists studying how sediment diversions work. The land built in the Wax Lake Delta protects wildlife as well as those who live in coastal communities surrounding the delta. More land means less disastrous impacts for those local communities during weather events like hurricanes. We need to reconnect the Mississippi River to the delta in order to rebuild as much of our coast as we can. This thriving delta proves we can build new and sustainable land to protect Louisiana for generations to come.